All right, well, let's talk about this game. So, in this game, Minnesota, Drake Lindsey, he was 16 of 20. I have the stats pulled up next to me here. You can follow along. 153 yards, one touchdown pass. Darius Taylor, have a day. 24 attempts or carries for 148 yards, one touchdown on the day. Ijaboy had 8 carries for 34 yards. And Cam Davis, he was a good transfer from Washington, I felt like. I'm surprised he's not been playing more. 1 carry for 5 yards on the day. And Drake Lindsey does what Drake Lindsey does. Man, he spreads that ball around. You got 8 different pass catchers in this one. It's one of the things I love most about Drake Lindsey is how willing he is to throw to every single receiver on his team. I mean, you look at these receivers, and there are obviously some guys that I feel like are better than other guys, but he still is passing the ball around to all these dudes. Brockington impressed me again tonight with that fade. The catch there, that was impressive. We got Sean here. Sean, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you being here, Sean. And I mean, overall, this was just a very impressive game from Minnesota. It went exactly the way Minnesota wants these home games to go, right? Minnesota, get out, get a lead in this game, and then go ahead, run the ball, stop the run of the other team, and you're good. Now, Nebraska, I Bleav they had the lead. Yeah, they had the lead first. 3-0, but that's nothing insurmountable. And then Minnesota gets a touchdown, and then Nebraska gets to the red zone again and can't convert again, so they have to kick the field goal. This was classic Minnesota PJ Fleck ball. When PJ Fleck has it the way he wants it to go, you're hardly ever going to defeat PJ Fleck there at Minnesota. Great game by PJ Fleck. Great game by the offensive line, the defensive line. I was surprised that Minnesota got as much push with the offensive line as they did. I thought Nebraska would. Not that their defensive line would win, but I thought they would be more competitive in the run game against Minnesota. But man, that Nebraska defensive line proves to be just such a detriment to this team. A detriment also is John Butler and how he is not able to disguise pressure very well. There were multiple times when the broadcasts themselves were pointing out pressure coming on this snap, and Drake Lindsey sees it. You're not going to get by Drake Lindsey with that stuff. He's too smart. He's too good of a quarterback. He's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of college football. He doesn't really get the praise because, like I said, 153 yards and one touchdown in this game. That's not going to write anything home to the Heisman, people or anything like that. But that is going to get you the win when you go in these games where you keep it low scoring, you keep the lead, you run the ball, and you just convert on third down in these games. And that's what Minnesota did such a good job of. They were able to get third down. They were able to keep going and get these long drives. That drive in the third quarter, 14 plays, 98 yards down the field. That is the type of stuff Big Ten fans love to see. Now, if you're a Nebraska fan, not really. Sorry, Nebraska fans. But if you're a Minnesota fan, man, you had to feel on fire for your team. At that moment, when they scored that touchdown and went up 14-6, I said, there's no way. Nebraska's not coming back. Minnesota has this in the bag. Even when Minnesota threw the interception the next drive, I said, I said this is Minnesota's game. They're going to come out on top here. What do they do? 3 and out for Nebraska the very next drive, and then they go down. I Bleav it was 4 or 5 plays in that next drive after the interception. Touchdown, pull ahead. Nebraska's not coming back. 15 points down in the fourth quarter, especially when you're playing the way they were. So, I mean, you gotta give it to some of these Nebraska guys, right? Dylan Raiola was 17 of 25, 177 yards. He didn't throw an interception. He didn't play bad out there. He holds on to the ball so long, and he doesn't have the mobility to be able to do that. I mean, he was holding on to the ball a number of times and being able to be clean in the pocket back there, but there were also other times where it was like, what are you doing, right? Like, get rid of the ball. And I'll be honest, I've watched some of like the all 22 tape. I'm able to get some of that. I don't get every single Nebraska game, but I get some of them. And the ones I do watch, I see open receivers down the field that Dylan Raiola is just not throwing to. And I honestly don't get it sometimes. I don't know if he's looking for the bigger play. I don't know if he's not confident. I don't know what it is. And now I watched the all 22 of that Maryland game. Much more decisive on that final drive to win the game. He still held on to the ball a little bit, but he was much more decisive. that is the biggest thing with Dylan Raiola right now, in my opinion, is his indecisiveness, and I don't think he trusts that offensive line. His uncle, I Bleav, is the offensive line coach. It's not working out well with him. I kind of made a joke about firing him at the beginning of the show, but I mean, Matt Rule has got to figure something out with this offensive line. When you have a combination of an offensive line that isn't necessarily bad at blocking, they just don't pick up dudes coming into the backfield. Sometimes I mean, obviously, like sometimes you don't give up 9 sacks and be good at blocking. Like it's not going to sugarcoat it. But I'm just saying it's not all bad blocking. Sometimes it's just you don't know your assignment and you're lining up Emmett Johnson on a defensive end. You're lining him up on a linebacker who has a free shot at him. And you're just not going to win those type of battles when Emmett Johnson's size that he is. So it's really hurting Nebraska right now that A, the offensive line is not being coached super well, in my opinion, and B, I don't think they have that thumper type of running back who can stand up a linebacker or somebody to be able to be able to keep Dylan Raiola safe. And then obviously the penalties for Nebraska. Look, I'm talking a lot about Nebraska here though, but don't sleep on giving Minnesota credit as well, because Minnesota did a phenomenal job in situational football in this game. The red zone, they were fantastic. Third down, they were fantastic. Fourth down, Drake Lindsey looked like he was in so much trouble back there, and they get the holding call on the Nebraska what was he, linebacker, DB, I think he was. And they convert because of the holding call on Nebraska. And Drake Lindsey did a phenomenal job of throwing it to that guy. Sometimes you just hope, oh, okay, well, let's hope they get the call. But no, Drake Lindsey did a phenomenal job in that moment, rolling out. I assume he saw the hold and threw it to the receiver to show the referee, because there was nothing else. Everybody was covered downfield. But if you're a Nebraska fan, man, you are just you are distraught at what you saw in this game. You saw your team get ran all over. You saw the pass defense not be nearly as good as you thought the pass defense was. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say nearly as good. They only got 153 yards passing, but Drake Lindsey was just so efficient. He was willing to take the stuff that moved the chains. He didn't try to do too much, and ultimately they kept the ball. They had the possession time in this game and did a great job. So nearly 32 minutes of possession time for Minnesota in this game. It's not anything crazy, but it's definitely something that's going to show up on the field. Billy Tuesday said he did make 2 very Mahomes-esque plays, fun to watch. And that's the thing that kills me with Raiola, and he gets the Mahomes comparisons, obviously. He's kind of had that since his freshman year. But those were plays where it's like, yeah, dude, you have this kind of like stardom in you to be able to do this stuff. You just have to be consistent. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Caleb Williams and what my critiques were hit with him were when he was in his second year at USC, I Bleav. That was tough to be able to watch, because Dylan Raiola was able to make plays in this game. The falling down kind of shovel pass that was like, I don't know, 8-9 yards out from the line of scrimmage, that was fantastic. The left-handed throw, which honestly I didn't even realize was his left hand, because I was watching the line until they showed the replay and said something. I was like, holy crap, he just threw it with his left hand. That's the kind of stuff that reminds you just how talented Dylan Raiola is. So to me, it's nothing about his talent and his ability right now. I think it's all about a lack of decisiveness, number one, which you saw Drake Lindsey in this game, very decisive, and number two, a lack of trust in his offensive line. I think both of those things are making it very hard on Dylan Raiola right now. Now you would say, well, why, how does he not trust his offensive line if he's holding on to the ball as much as he does? And sometimes that's because you don't know if a guy is going to have a free runner. You don't trust that your offensive line is going to pick up dudes, and so you're not necessarily always looking to be decisive and be on time, but sometimes you're just looking, how can I escape when the edge gets around my tackle, or when I get pressure up the middle because the guard left a blitzing linebacker completely clean, right? Like, just tough stuff in this game for Nebraska fans. Minnesota, man, Minnesota, great game by them. I could not be more impressed. I'm gonna look and see if we have the totals, and we'll go over some FanDuel stuff really fast while I see if any of you guys want to pop in here and join me on the show. Let me go ahead and get that StreamYard link. I'll post it here in the comments. All right. There we go. If any of you guys want to join me, feel free. Feel free to join me here, and we'll make it happen. So, all right. We have win totals. Did we get a Nebraska win total? I should probably refresh this. Man, I'm wondering what the win total for Minnesota would be right now. Because you look at that schedule, they have I'm Brad. Who won? Minnesota. Minnesota won. Here, I'll scroll up there for you. 24-6. Minnesota wins the game against Nebraska. I don't think we have any college football playoff odds for Big Ten. Oh, we do right here. No, nothing for Nebraska yet. Washington still is up there, plus 730. Michigan just right away from that, plus 1200. Jamar says never trust Nebraska. It's tough, right? Because you thought they turned a corner. You thought they had it. You thought they turned it, but it's just tough. So Billy Tuesday says Raiola is overweight. He could lose 10 pounds and gain some helpful mobility. I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to see with some of those flak jackets on and stuff, but he definitely misses a step, right? In the pocket, I'm not one to judge anybody's weight personally, but he definitely is missing a step, and I think that's what you're getting at there, Billy. And I think that's the hardest part. You saw it, especially in that Michigan game, where a guy like Damon Williams, he has that first step in the pocket where he's able to evade pressure. Dylan Raiola, unfortunately, he just doesn't have that step. So, Sean says he's super athletic, he can make those plays, but struggles with the basic stuff. Exactly.